Welcome to the Navigating the Noise podcast. First-hand stories and winning ideas from marketing department leaders. And now, here's your host, Jerry Allocca.
Hey there. Thanks for joining us on the Navigating the Noise podcast, brought to you by Connected Culture, a digital marketing agency obsessed with conversions. I'm your host, Jerry Allocca, and this is the first and only podcast to put the spotlight on the unsung heroes of the marketing world as we navigate the noise of modern marketing. Joining me today is Jill Jacobs, the Chief Marketing Officer of Friedman, a top 40 accounting and advisory firm headquartered in New York City. Jill leads the marketing and growth strategy for the firm, volunteers as the chair of their charitable initiative, Friedman Gives Back. Jill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
So tell us, what got you into marketing in the first place?
So it was kind of a roundabout path. I loved foreign languages. So early on, I started working with companies, helping them expand internationally, and particularly with Spain. So we tried to find the most kind of creative and cost-effective ways for companies that were just starting out to really get a foot on the ground there. And that's how I got my start.
Good. So one thing I've heard a lot lately is that people are being asked to do more with less resources. Are you finding that?
Well, not really more with less, but I think it's more about that things are changing, right? So for me, it's a constant juggling of resources because there's always something new. And again, it kind of goes back what our blessings are also our curses in a way. Because as there's more to do, as there's more digital marketing, even as our firm grows, our firm is constantly growing with new practice areas. We make our marketing plans and our budgets. We finalize them in December for the following year. So when the pandemic hit in March, we said, okay, let's take a whole fresh step back. And so we had many, many live events planned that weren't happening, for instance. So we said, okay, so how can we now take a look at the resources, the time and the money that we were going to be spending on live events, and where can we shift that now? And one of the big areas we shifted that to, which we were already doing it, but we grew it even further, was in the content, the digital content marketing. So we took a look during the pandemic. Our clients and our prospects, really everyone that we communicated with, they were in just desperate need of advice. So we really took a step back, and I met with our leaders of our firm. We formed this COVID-19 task force to really figure out what are the key messages, what are the priority of the messages we want to get out, and how can we best be a resource and help our clients and our other stakeholders during this time. So we formed a COVID-19 resource center hub on our website, and we gave webinars. We hosted live Q&A sessions where we were getting literally thousands of questions sent in advance and during the sessions. Had articles and social media, just an array of resources for people because that's what they needed, particularly around all the government relief that was coming out. We were in a position where we had this task force that was analyzing the relief, and where we could help people with all of the questions that were coming up, how to file, what were all the rules they needed to follow so that the loans would eventually be forgiven in the case of the PPP loans. So it was really a tremendous opportunity for us to step up and be of service at a time that people really needed it. And as a result, we saw our analytics just skyrocketed over a few months. We were doubling and tripling our web traffic and our new lead contact forms from our website and our clicks and our subscriptions to our content. So we knew that we were really making an impact and able to be out there helping people.
I think that's a really smart approach. And you were saying about content marketing being a great way to market an accounting firm, and marketing has certainly changed, not because of COVID, but just over the years. It's akin to a publishing company. nowadays. You've got designers, you've got writers, you've got programmers, you've got advertising specialists, you've got strategists. I mean, how do you effectively manage such a diverse team of people and skill sets?
Yeah, it's a fun kind of a challenge to have because it's kind of, a puzzle in a way. But it's interesting you said that we're like a publishing company now, because that's exactly how I felt when the pandemic started. I mean, we always did a lot of publishing, but during those first couple of months, we were working 24/7. We were putting out content sometimes at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night because some new government relief had come out. So yeah, it's a lot. We have a team of 8 people. And so we have to be really organized. I found a couple of years ago, we could no longer manage, for instance, without a project management software. So we use Asana, and all of our projects go in there and all the tasks go out to the different members of our department. So that's really important. And then also just kind of coming together as a team. I'm really big on building that team culture. So we all come from a place of being there and help people out. If someone has a skill set that may not even be formally in their job description, but it's something that they're good at and that they like and we need it, they'll step in and just help out with it. So we really come from that place. Even in terms of culture, my team gets together on a regular basis. Now during the pandemic, we're together in our square boxes, but we're doing happy hours and we're doing team building. And one of our members of our team is a certified yoga instructor. So she'll run meditation and mindfulness and light yoga sessions with us. And we were actually even doing this before the pandemic, because I think mindfulness, especially these days, is it's so important for everyone, but particularly in our roles as marketers, where we need to be both left brain and right brain. We need to be creative, but we also just need to get a lot of stuff done and execute on a lot. So I personally find that a mindfulness practice helps bring the mind to a place where more of the creativity can flow. I think it's why some of us have our greatest ideas when we're just taking a walk or we're exercising or we're in the shower, because we're allowing our mind to have the space for that creativity to come forth.
Yeah, I can't think of anything more important than, mindfulness nowadays, especially during, everything that's going on. I've seen, I forgot the numbers, but huge increases of downloads of Calm and Stress Free and, apps that, really just help you take a mental break. I forgot the book that it was. I want to say it was The Art of Happiness, but he recommended taking a 1-minute break every hour. It's just like a relaxing feeling afterwards. Like, okay, now I'm ready to get back into it.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely. There's Janice Maturano teaches mindfulness practices for business leaders. And I took one of her retreats. I've read her book, and she has something that she calls the purposeful pause. And what it is once you're in a mindfulness practice, when you're in the heat of a moment or you're in your busy day, it's easier to remember to take that purposeful pause, even if it's just a few seconds, where you're focusing on something in your physical environment, whether it's your feet on the floor or a sound that you're hearing, brings you into that mindful space again. And I've particularly found, that practice to be very powerful.
I'd love you to put the URL in the show notes. We can deal with that afterwards. But I think people would get a lot out of just exploring what that would look like, and just to talk to somebody about maybe bringing that into their company. Were there any situations that required a innovative, out-of-the-box course of action?
Definitely. I go back again because it's top of mind to the pandemic. So one of the new things that we launched during the pandemic were these live Q&A sessions, where people were so hungry for information. And up to that point, we had really just produced, the standard webinars with the PowerPoint providing information. But what we did was we allowed people to send questions in both before and during these Q&A sessions. There was no presentation. It was just, we're here for you. What questions do you have? And we received literally thousands of questions. We recorded the sessions. So people could listen to them afterwards. They were very useful, not only for our clients, for others that out in the community, but even internally, it really helped us get everyone in our firm on the same page and really well versed on all this new relief that was coming out. Another area where we've had to get innovative has been with some of our virtual events. People are starting to get Zoom fatigue these days. So so we thought, how can we get people together in kind of a new way where they could still socialize even though they're not face to face. So last week we actually held a virtual Scotch tasting event, and it was held by an expert in the UK actually. And we got together with some of our Friedman partners and some of our contacts within the industry, outside of the industry. And it enabled us to just have a fun way to get together and network and do a little Scotch tasting together. And it was really fun and effective without being face to face. We also, another new thing that actually we did this summer was we had stopped most of our print advertising when this set in, because not that we do a lot of print, but whatever print we were doing, we stopped. So one of the things that we replaced that with was we flew banners over the Jersey Shore beaches a couple of weeks ago with our messaging of respond, rebuild, and thrive, which is our messaging and in terms of how we're really trying to help people out there right now. So we flew that banner over the Jersey Shore beaches, and over Labor Day weekend, we'll be doing it again over some additional beaches and also throughout Long Island. So that was kind of new and different.
Very cool.
We've also taken some of our services that we've already been providing and we repackaged them to be more meaningful in the context of what's happening today. So besides launching some new service areas like the PPP, loan forgiveness, and things like that, we've also launched a package of services on recovery and growth, and it packages many of our areas of regulatory, tax, fraud and forensics, merger and acquisition, and all the new transactions that people are starting to think about now on buying and selling businesses. And so we've kind of packaged that together in a new and different way so that people can really see all of the ways that we can help them now during this time.
That's great. And I like the fun aspect, because that seems to be missing from a lot of webinars or a lot of virtual events, is fun. Right?
Yeah.
People want to have fun. So let's talk about metrics. Tell me about the metrics that indicate success or failure. What do you track?
Okay, well, it really depends on the campaign, but we're always looking at our web traffic. We're always looking at what are our open rates, what are our click-through rates, what's our engagement, especially on social media, our subscriptions, our lead forms. We any kind of campaign we're doing, we're bringing people into some kind of a form where they can reach out to us for new information. So what we do is when we're launching a new campaign, we think about what are the metrics that are going to be most important for this particular campaign, and we look at those. For the campaign I spoke about earlier for COVID-19, we basically looked at everything. We saw that the huge spikes in our web traffic, they were mostly going to that COVID-19 resource center and content that we had created there. We could see the huge spikes in the contact forms for assistance that content was leading them to. So in these days with digital marketing, it's actually so much easier now. In the old days, it was a lot harder to track our results in professional services marketing, because our salespeople are really they're our accountants and our advisors. So in the past, it was a lot harder because we didn't have that traditional sales team with the quotas and really those kinds of methods in place. But now with digital marketing to a much larger extent, we're actually able to track and see the results of everything, of almost everything that we're doing.
That's great. So tell me about mistakes. What mistakes have you learned on the job? Mistakes are learning opportunities. So.
What's so important is I think for people to be able to know that they have permission to make mistakes, because marketing's an art and it's a science. So sometimes we try something out and then we look at our analytics and we see, is this working, is this not working, and we tweak from there. And I happen to be so fortunate because I work with a culture and a leadership at my firm that they're willing to let us try new things. They actually want us to bring new ideas, to bring creative ideas. And if some things work better than other things, it's okay. There are no serious repercussions of, oh, you made a mistake and it didn't work. It's an environment where we know if you don't try new things and you don't open yourself up to certain things not going as well as you expected, you're not going to move forward and you're not going to learn. So, some of our most successful business people, right, they say that they had 5 businesses that failed before their business that succeeded. So I think it's the same thing in marketing. So actually one campaign does come to mind as I'm speaking. A few years ago, we decided to launch this social giving kind of a campaign. So we selected one of our not-for-profit clients and we said, okay, we're going to put a campaign out on social media, similar to what we've seen some nonprofits do, where for each share, or maybe it was each mention, I forget the details, but each interaction with our social media posts, we were going to put a certain amount of money towards this not-for-profit. And it was successful in the impressions that it got, but in certain ways that we did it, it didn't get the activity that we had expected to in terms of shares and conversions. But we learned from it. So in certain ways that we looked at some of our social campaigns going forward, it gave us some additional information that we could learn from.
Well, learning is the key. What advice would you give someone just starting out in corporate marketing?
So for those just starting out in corporate marketing, I would say trust yourself and your instincts and your intuition, because I think particularly young people have a lot to bring to the table now. You have technical skills, you have a digital orientation that's native, that you've grown up with you, it's a part of you. So you have a lot to bring to the table. And I think these days that the generations are working together in a whole new way. I love working with young people because they bring ideas and a perspective that I might not have thought of. So I would say, don't be afraid to speak up. If you see a better way or a different way of doing something, bring that to the table.
So any last thoughts as we wrap up?
My last thought would be marketing today, it's more important than ever. I know during the last financial crisis, there were a lot of firms and companies out there that cut back on marketing because they got nervous going into the financial crisis, and it proved in many cases to be a mistake. So while we have to thoughtfully think about our budgets and think about how we're spending our money and how we may need to shift some of the initiatives and approaches, it's really, really important to keep marketing and to keep our firms and our companies, our businesses strong and well positioned for the future, because it's coming and it's changing, and in spite of the difficult time that we're all experiencing now, there are also so many new opportunities.
Well said. Jill, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is a great conversation. I love talking about marketing, and I really appreciate you having me here today. Thank you.
Thanks so much for checking out Navigating the Noise podcast. Subscribe today by clicking the subscribe button or visit navigatingthenoise.com to subscribe via email. On our website, you can access the show notes, resources, and links from today's episode to help you take action on what was discussed. Also, you can ask Jerry questions that he may reply to on the show. Plus, if you're a leader in your marketing department and would like to be a guest, You can contact us through the site. It's really easy. Just visit navigatingthenoise.com to subscribe, watch episodes, ask Jerry anything, or to be a guest. Until next time, stay safe, navigate wisely.